I'm Jatin with the firm ground from Verito. Quick one today. We spent the last 3 episodes on AI, the tools, the privacy settings, and the agentic features that are coming to your tax software. Important stuff, but today we're shifting gears. Because there's one security upgrade that takes about 15 minutes, costs nothing, and does more to protect your firm than almost anything else you could do this week. And it's the one thing your cyber insurance company is almost certainly going to ask about. We're talking about Multi-Factor Authentication, MFA. And by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly where to turn it on and why the way you're doing it right now might not be enough. So here's the stat that got my attention. 99% of cyber insurance applications now include specific questions about whether you have MFA in place. That's according to Marsh McLennan, one of the largest insurance brokers in the world. It's not a suggestion on the form, it's a requirement for coverage. And here's what happens when you don't have it. Coalition, one of the biggest cyber insurance, has said publicly that MFA alone could prevent roughly 95% of the claims they see. And when claims do get denied, the most common gap is that MFA wasn't fully deployed. Not that the firm didn't have it at all, but that it wasn't on every system. You had it on email, but not on remote access. You had it on QuickBooks, but not on your tax software. And that gap is what the insurance providers points to when they deny the claim. And here's the thing, this isn't just insurance checkbox. The IRS requires it too. Publication 4557 lists multi-factor authentication as one of the security six foundational controls that every tax preparer in the country is required to have in place. Not recommended, required. And the FTC safeguards rule, which we've talked about in earlier episodes, made MFA mandatory for any system that touches client financial data. So between your insurance carrier, the IRS, and the FTC, this is the rare thing where everybody agrees. And the good news is, it's one of the easiest things to do on the list that you can actually do right now. Alright, so the number one mistake firms make with MFA is turning it on for some systems, but not all of them. And I get why that happens. You set it up on your email because your IT person told you to. And then you stop there because the rest feels like it can wait. But here's why that's a problem. An attacker only needs one way in. If your email has MFA, but your tax software doesn't, they're going in through the tax software. If your QuickBooks is locked down, but your remote desktop isn't, they're going through the remote desktop. The chain is only as strong as the weakest link, and the weak link is wherever MFA isn't turned on. So let me walk you through the full list. Every system here should have MFA enabled. If even one of these doesn't, that's your homework after this episode. First thing first, your tax software. If you're on Drake, MFA has been enabled by default since Drake 2021. You're probably already using it, but double check that every user in your firm has completed the authenticator setup, not just you. Lacert and Pro Series? Intuit rolled out mandatory MFA across all their professional products. So when you log in, you'll get a verification code sent to your phone or email. If you haven't switched to an authenticator app yet, we'll talk about why you should do it in a minute. QuickBooks Online has MFA enabled automatically on every account, but here's the catch. If you're using QuickBooks Desktop, check whether you've enabled it on your QuickBooks account that links to your desktop license. That's the one people miss. Second is your email, and this is a big one. Your email is the front door to everything. Password resets, client communications, document with social security number. It all flows through your email. If an attacker gets into your email without MFA stopping them, they can reset passwords to everything else. So if you're in Microsoft 365, and most firms are, go to your account, security settings, find two-factor authentication, and set it up with the Microsoft Authenticator app. Takes about 3 minutes per person. If you're in Google Workspace, same idea. Account settings, security, two-step verification. And look, I know some firms are still using email providers that don't support MFA. If that's you, and I say that with respect, that's a bigger problem than MFA. You need to move to a provider that supports it. Full stop. And let's talk about everything else that you use. Remote desktop or VPN access. If your team logs in from home, MFA here is non-negotiable. This is the attack surface that ransomware operators love. Cloud storage, Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, whatever you're using to share files, MFA on all of it. Then your bank and financial accounts. This one isn't a compliance requirement, it's a common sense. If they offer it, turn it on. And here's the rule of thumb. If a system can see, store, or transmit client data, it gets MFA. No exceptions. Okay, so you got MFA turned on. Great. But now I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest. When you get that verification code, is it coming as a text message to your phone? Because if it is, you're better off than having no MFA at all, but you're not as protected as you think. Here's why. There's an attack called a SIM swap, and it works like this. An attacker calls your cell phone carrier, they pretend to be you, they convince the carrier to transfer your phone number to a new SIM card, their SIM card. And once they do that, every text message meant for you goes to them instead, including your MFA codes. And this isn't theoretical. The FBI reported $48 million in SIM swap losses in 2023 alone. And the volume of complaints to the FBI went up over 400% between 2018 and 2021. This is a real attack that's happening to real people. And in December 2024, the FBI and CISA, that's the Federal Cybersecurity Agency, formally recommended that Americans stop using SMS for multi-factor authentication. Their exact words, do not use SMS as a second factor for authentication. So what's the alternative? An authenticator app. It could be Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, or Authy. They're all free and they work differently than text messages. Instead of sending a code over the cell network, the app generates a code locally on your device, a new code every 30 seconds. And that code never travels over any network. It's created on your phone, you type it in, and that's it. So even if someone hijacks your phone number, they don't get the code because the code isn't tied to your phone number, it's tied to the app on your physical device. So bottom line, if you're using text messages for MFA today, switch to an authenticator app. It takes 2 minutes per account, and it closes a real vulnerability that text messages leave wide open. Now I hear this from firm owners all the time. Jatin, I know MFA is important, but every time I bring it up, my team pushes back. They don't want another step to log in. They think it's a hassle. And I get it. Nobody wakes up excited about logging into things. But here's how I would frame it if I were sitting in your Monday meeting. First, don't make it optional. If it's optional, some people will skip it, and the whole point is that every account is covered. Frame it as something that's happening, not something that's being discussed. We are enabling MFA across all of our systems this week. Here's what you need to do. Second, make it easy. Don't send a policy document. Send a step-by-step with screenshots. Better yet, block 15 minutes on the calendar and do it together as a team. Walk through each app, scan the QR codes, done. Make it a group activity, not homework. And third, tell them why it matters in human terms. Not the FTC requires it, that doesn't land. Try this instead. If someone gets in your email and finds a client's tax return, that client is going to ask why we didn't protect that data. MFA makes sure nobody gets in even if they guess your password. That's a reason people can feel. And honestly, once people use it for a week, the friction just disappears. The app sends a push notification, you tap approve, you're in. It takes 3 seconds. After 7 days, nobody even notices it anymore. Quick Verito note, if you're a Verito-based firm, MFA is enforced at the server layer. Every login into your hosted environment, every user that uses it requires a second factor before you can even reach any application. That closes the remote access gap I mentioned earlier, which is the one ransomware operators target most. The MFA inside each application, Drake, Lacerte, Pro Series, or QuickBooks, that's still set at the application level, and you should confirm it's turned on for every user. But the front door into your hosted environment is already locked. And for very guard firms, our managed IT team can roll MFA out to your email, your remote access, and your cloud storage in a single session. The kind of 15-minute team setup I just described. We do that for you. So here's your one thing this week, just one. Pick the system in your firm that doesn't have MFA turned on and turn it on. Not all of them, just the one you've been putting off. Maybe it's your email, maybe it's your remote desktop, maybe it's that one QuickBooks desktop license that nobody set up. Find it, enable it, and switch to an authenticator app if you're still on text messages. 15 minutes, that's it. And once you've done that one, do the next one tomorrow, and the next one the day after. By the end of the week, every system in your firm that touches client data will have MFA, and you'll be ahead of most of the firms in the country. Next week, we are covering the documents that ties all of this together. Your written information security plan, your WISP, it's what the IRS requires you to have, and it's where everything we've talked about in our first 4 episodes, AI tools, data privacy, MFA, all of it gets documented. If you don't have a WISP yet, That episode is going to walk you through the whole thing. I'm Jatin. This is the Firm Ground from Verito. Stay safe and stay blessed.